What's going on, guys? Welcome to your match review and your Rants Red Talk, sponsored by the One Football app. Link is in the description for all your up-to-date football news. So make sure you go down there, click the link, download the app, and enjoy. And like I always say, if you're watching on them illegal streams, fam, make sure you manage the notifications in it. You don't want to get them goal alerts before the goals go in. You shouldn't be doing it, but we all know you're doing it. So, boy. First of all, United 3-1 against Brighton. The score was very satisfactory, to be honest, and a lot of people getting carried away with it. A lot of people finally giving man like Frederick his dues. I have been saying to stay patient with him, and yeah, bruv, like I'm loving seeing him start to get the appreciation that his performances have deserved. Because the funny thing is with Fred, just like a few other players in the team, like your Ashley Youngs and that, they're easy scapegoats. Like when they make one mistake, people are quick to jump on them. They're not afforded the same bit of leniency as other players. And I just feel like there's been performances where Fred has actually played well, but he's given the ball away a few times in notable situations, and people choose to dwell on that. But actually, his overall performances have been steady for quite a while now. For at least 4 weeks, he's consistently played well. So it's good to see people finally giving him that respect. My overall thoughts on the game are that Brighton played into our hands. And actually, when we conceded the goal and it was 2-1, and Brighton thought that they could be getting back into the game, that's when we started to open them up even more, when they started to get a bit more adventurous. And there's a clear pattern that when we play against teams that fancy themselves against us and want to attack us, yeah, we have more joy. It's that simple. Like against low block teams, yeah, that come and want to sit back and stifle us, we will struggle. Second half possession stats, 37% at home. That's fucking shit, if I'm honest. And that shows that we're more dangerous when we don't have the ball. And yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Like, if that's how Ollie wants to play football. But I tell you what, yeah, against decent teams, if we allow them to have 60-70% possession, we're not going to win games. I'm going to be real, innit? We're not. It's all well and good. I'm not saying that it has to be like an LVG where man are having 70% of the ball and we've got no penetration. But we can't keep going into games and allowing teams to have 2/3 of the possession and think that we're going to come out on top, because eventually this shit's just not going to run. I think our style of football is that of a mid-table to bottom of the table club, because these teams are happy to kind of allow the other team to have the ball, do what they're doing, and try and almost sucker punch them effectively, bruv. Like this sucker punch football I'm not really a fan of. If you look at the United of old, yes, they were very quick on the counter attack, but they were also good at keeping the ball. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't give the other team the ball, end-to-end basketball football. It was, yeah, we could keep the ball, not for the sake of keeping it. We'd keep it and would be very direct with the intent of hurting teams, bro. Like, but the whole letting teams like of the ilk of Brighton have more ball than us, like it's a bit worrying for me, innit? So as much as I'm loving the fact that we scored more than one goal, we're creating a lot of chances now. Well, we have in the last game anyway, but them chances that we are creating, you have to look at how similar they are and how we're creating them. And will these chances be afforded against better level of opponents? They won't, if I'm honest. So, as you know, I'm always going to give it to you honestly. I'm not going to get gassed and be like, oh yeah, we've turned a corner now. Because man only lost to Bournemouth the other day. So, like, things are not all rosy. Yes, in the cup, we've had a few decent performances, but they've been against shit teams. The crux of the situation still has not been remedied, innit? And now Scott McTominay's out injured. It will be very interesting to see what we do in midfield going into the next game, because I don't know, he could be out for a while. So I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think about the overall performance. The overall performance of the game. Are you getting carried away? A good performance from Marcus Rashford. He's missed a shitload of chances, but His general performance level was good. Same with James. And Martial showing that he is the guy in the attacking third that makes everything click. He gives Fred an outlet for the forward pass that Fred hasn't had in a while, and those are people were saying Fred keeps giving the ball away, but that's because he's trying to Fred things, make them happen, and Fred. That's where the London accent don't help you, blood. But yeah, he tries to like Fred little balls through, yeah, and there was nobody really running onto them. Like Marcus ain't clever enough to kind of do that. But now with Martial coming short, like I said before, like in a similar way that Firmino does it for Liverpool, they're not the same kind of player, but they occupy similar spaces, isn't it? And he occupies that space and gives Rashford and James spaces down the flank. And they exploited it well against a pretty poor Brighton side, to be fair. So yeah, that's just my, in a nutshell, analysis of the game. There's a bit more of it on the Flex and Rant show that will be out tomorrow, so you can look out for that. Now, we're going to go into your Rants Red Talk questions, guys. Okay, the first one, S_Akiyama. It says, have you seen the tweets from the Saudi reporter? I have. Do you think he's trolling, or do you think the Saudi takeover will happen? I'm completely unsure what to think of it, to be honest. I think that the takeover will happen. I've said it before. If you look at the net spend of the Glazers, over the last few years, it's gone down. I think that their plan was always to milk as much revenue out of the club as possible, not giving a shit about the long-term future of the club and the success. Because if they did, they would have invested more in transfer windows, etc., etc. I think that any owner that wants the club to be successful on the pitch long-term and had any intentions of staying long-term doesn't allow us to be playing the shit footballer. They don't hire Oli Solskjaer because that doesn't make sense. Like, too many things didn't make sense, innit? It just seems like man are just patching up things and just, yeah, like no real thought's gone into it. Like, if Manchester United's your baby and this is your thing going forward, yeah, you probably don't bring in an Oli Solskjaer. Like, you don't, innit? Like, as interim, yeah, it makes sense, but at long term, it doesn't stink of, yo, like, we want to be successful as soon as possible. Like, it doesn't stink of that. Do you know what I mean? It stinks of mediocrity. So I think that they're not really too interested about what Manchester United are doing on the pitch because they had every intentions of selling. That's what I genuinely believe. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, I can't see them not selling this club in the next couple seasons. If not at the end of this season, the end of next. But I think the writing's on the wall just from the spending patterns. Next one, Jay Pearson. How many more goals would Martial get if he had another Martial type player next to him instead of Rash Bandicoot? Man like Rash Bandicoot. Martial's a creator. I've tweeted it loads of times as well, yeah. And his link-up play and his vision is so underrated, bruv. Like, man, look at Martial and say, yo, he's the best finisher, like one-on-one and that. But actually, he got 2 assists where he's beat the goalkeeper, got his head up, and pick someone out. And a lot of the time when Martial's on the left, he doesn't just cut in and just whip in across like what Rashford does or what Daniel James does as well. On the left hand side, Daniel James will just use his pace to get down the outside and thrash a ball across. Everything Martial does is deliberate. Like, even when he's dribbling on the left, he'll like dribble, get his head up, and he'll try and pass it into someone's path. And he's a very deliberate player, innit? And I just believe that with someone of his intelligence around him, he would be on double the goals that he's on now. Absolutely. I think him and Rashford complement each other well. I remember there was a time where Maureen was saying it had to be one or the other. And it's on video somewhere, but I don't know where it is now because I've made so many. But I argued, I said, no, they complement each other very well because actually, like, they're not good at the same things. Like, Rashford is probably quicker. He's a bit more direct. Martial will bounce it off, try and spin, flick it, whereas Rashford just wants to turn and run. They're very, very different. Rashford's more a head down, instinctive player, whereas Martial's more of a calculated, like, technical. He's a thinker, innit? So them two do complement each other. They do different things. Martial down the middle is way better than Rashford down the middle. Like, Rashford out wide, Martial's probably still better than Rashford out wide, but like, I think that you lose something putting Martial on the left and putting Rashford down the middle. But if you put Martial down the middle and put Rashford on the left, you don't lose what Martial gives you from the left. So I think that they complement each other very well, man. So I don't really want to dwell too much on what ifs, like if we had this player. But what I would say is them two together, they just complement each other very well. Like, and I'm happy to see Rashford actually getting on the score sheet. A lot of people, like I said, there's certain players that it's cool to criticise. It's trendy. Ashley Young being one of them, Fred being one of them. It's not trendy to criticise Rashford because he's one of our own, because he's English and all of that. So he gets shielded from a lot of criticism when he's not playing well. Same with Jesse to a certain extent in the media, but a lot of fans want to get onto Jesse Lingard. But I criticise Rashford because he's not clinical. He used to see himself as a striker. I don't know if that's changed. And he misses too many chances. He plays with his head down, and he's clearly not a thinking footballer. However, he's very positive. He's very direct. And what he does give us is, we know if we create loads of chances for Rashford, he's going to score goals. So instead of focusing on his weaknesses, like, we need to focus on getting Rashford in as many goal scoring positions as possible, because he needs loads, because he's not clinical. So when I criticise him, it comes from a place of I want him to improve, not from a place of, yo, I don't like him, he's shit, because I do like him, bruv. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon like what a lot of English fans do and just think, yo, like, this guy's better than he is. The same thing's happening with Maddison and all these other players. Bruv, them man have got it all to prove. I do genuinely believe that if Rashford can get coached the mental side of the game, he has world-class ability. And I said it before, and people were saying, no, you said that Rashford's better than Mbappe or on levels with Mbappe. I never said that. I said ability-wise, he's got as much ability. Rashford done a flip-flap in the game, went past a man and skills and all that. Rashford's got that ability, but he can't perform like that consistently because he doesn't have the football IQ. That can be coached into him. Pep coached Raheem Sterling in how to move off the ball and what positions to get into. Now Raheem Sterling's scoring tap-ins every week. Like, Raheem Sterling's not scoring 30-yard screamers in the top corner like Marcus Rashford. He's scoring a bag of tap-ins. But Pep has finally tuned the mental side of his game. And I believe that if he had someone like a Pep to teach him how to use his athleticism and his ability in the right way, he could become a top player. Mbappe's already programmed. Like, Mbappe plays like someone that's 10 years older and more experienced than he is. That's why Mbappe's miles away from Rashford. But it's only up here in terms of technically at ball at their feet, going past players, shooting, dribbling and all that. As I said, there's not massively, in terms of talent, there's not a massive gap. That's what I said. I never said that he was on the same level as Kylian Mbappe, because he's not. Do you know what I mean? It's all about understanding what man's trying to say. Rashford is hugely talented technically, but like, this is 80-90% of football. Do you know what I mean? And that side of the game, he lacks severely, bruv. Matthew McFadden, can't help but feel that if Bailly stayed fit, he would be the perfect partner for Maguire in the centre of defence. This might be unpopular, but I don't rate Lindelof. The only thing he has over Maguire is pace. Everything else is massively inferior. Tuanzebe should start more. 100%, bro. And I said the same thing about Smalling on the Flex and Rant show. You'll see Chris Smalling made Lindelof look better than he was, because Bailly was out injured. Smalling was the pacey, aggressive kind of player that a player in the ilk of Maguire or Lindelof needs next to them, innit? That's what they need, innit? And the thing is, Lindelof is like a diet Maguire, innit? That's what he is. They both want to be ball playing centre backs. The difference being that Maguire's got the physicality that Lindelof doesn't have, that helps him thrive in the Premier League. So they're kind of similar players, but Maguire's just better than him. So because of that, it shows his flaws, innit? They don't complement each other well. They don't. So I think you're right. Eric Bailly is the pacey defender. He does attack the ball. Like, he's the exact kind of player that would complement Slabhead perfectly, but we can't rely on him. So Tuanzebe is the next in terms of what we have at the club, he's the next like obvious thing to do. So I think that Lindelof could still be a good squad centre back. Just like when we won the treble, we had the Johnsons, the Henningbergs, do you know what I mean, to come in, and you need that. And I just think that that could be his role at the club. I don't think that when we've recruited finally, he's going to be a starting centre back for Man United, because I genuinely just don't think he's got enough in his locker. I think he's a very good squad player, someone we can rely on for 15 to 20 games a season, like as a whole. But yeah, he's not the one. Let me know what you think about Victor, guys. Next one, at 93_HAO. Would Ollie deserve another season, in your opinion, if he finished 5th and won a trophy, FA Cup, League Cup? Would he deserve another season? I think on paper he would. He would, because if you win a trophy and finish 5th, you could argue if any manager done that with this Manchester United team, he would have met the objectives I would have set, because I said we have to finish in the top 6 this season. So if he finished in the top 6 and got a trophy, he would deserve one. However, I don't want to see him get one, because I don't see Ollie getting us anywhere near back to where we deserve to be. He's simply not a good enough coach. And I wouldn't be being honest if I just turned around and said, actually, no, like Ollie should be able to stay. Like, my mind's been made up. I've seen more than enough evidence to suggest that Ollie's out of his depth at this club. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. And how the players play pretty much is down to how the players feel on the day. That's what it looks like. That's not good enough for a club the standard of Manchester United. I will always judge Manchester United on where they should be and not where Ollie tells us that we should be, because he's managed to massively lower the expectations of the fan base, but I will not be sucked into that bullshit. So in a nutshell, yes, he would in terms of objectives at the beginning of the season, but I would never give him that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I can't see your Twitter handle. It just says the Makeda goal. Is there a real danger of good performances papering over the cracks of a poor season, leading to another year of underinvestment from the Glazers? I don't think there's I wouldn't say that there's a danger of that, because I believe that the Glazers are going to do what they're going to do anyway. If the Glazers weren't going to invest, then they're just not going to invest anyway. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that, say for instance, we played super shit, yeah, we finished 10th, didn't win nothing. I don't think that that's going to provoke the Glazers to go out and blow loads of money. I think that their agenda and when they want to leave, when they want to sell the club, what they're using the club for, I think that that's already set. I honestly don't think that performances on the pitch, well, not that I don't think, we've been shown that results and performances on the pitch do not affect what they do with the checkbook. Because if that was the case, yeah, we would have bought more than 3 players in the summer. So I don't think that performances on the pitch has any correlation to what we do in the transfer market. I just think that these guys will spend as much or as little as they feel like. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. Next one, Samuel Idele. What did you tell the man them about Frederick? Oh, this is funny. I can't wait for you to see this segment in the Flex and Rant show. And the reason why, yeah, I love saying I told you so, yeah, is because I've got quite a big platform, innit? And it's one of them ones where when you say things, and especially because of how like we work, everything I say is on camera, innit? A lot of people like to contextualize things I say and just be like, for instance, like Rashford's had a few good games, and a man will be in my mention saying, oh yeah, you said Rashford's shit, and yeah, like what now, you were wrong. And I'm just like, bruv, man never said he was shit, yeah, like I told you why I don't rate him as highly as you rate him, and I've given you reasons for, innit? Like, this is what I do. All, in my opinion, are valid reasons and are actually backed up by numbers. However, when man are so vocal and ready to tell you, yeah, when you were wrong, I like to just tell you when I was right, just to rub salt in the wounds, bruv, because I just feel like being a prick sometimes. I really do. Like, I enjoy it. Like, if you lot can give me stick, yeah, which I'm happy for you to do, innit, because it comes with the territory, then I'm going to give you stick when I got it right, innit? There's a bit of back and forth. That's what it is. You're at a football match. one set of fans are singing "you're fucking shit" or whatever, and then another set of fans are singing, do you know what I mean? Have you ever seen Gerrard win the league and that, bruv? Like, this is just, it's what we do, innit? It's back and forth. So I love saying "I told you so." Do you know what I mean? For all the man them that are quick to try and rebuttal me every time I say something. So it's good banter. So yeah, absolutely with Frederick, man, told you so. Two-footed player, mobile, tenacious, passes forward. Everything that we need, guys. Like, it took him a while to settle because physically the league's faster. It's more robust, and he's had to kind of fine-tune his game to that. But actually, his mentality and the way he wants to play, and even when he gets things wrong, he still wants the ball. He's brave. Like, he fits the profile of a Manchester United player. I'm super happy to see Fred doing well, man. I just think Fred next to like a proper, that combative defensive midfielder, yeah, and Pogba ahead of him, like that would be beautiful. Let me know what you think about Fred's improvements over the weeks. Estan, it says Estan fan Fargo 6. Should we fire Oli ASAP and get a new manager? Then a few signings in January, go on a run and potentially could save our season, as we are not far off, because this team is not as bad as people make out. I'm not lowering my expectations because Oli isn't maximising the squad's potential. In my opinion, that's what I would do, but I just simply don't think it's going to happen. I do agree that Oli's not maximising the potential of the team. That was my criticism of Mourinho too. I was just like, you're not getting the best out of these players. You're not, innit? Like, because there's no reason why teams with far inferior players and on paper, like, not even big name managers are playing better football than us and getting better results than us. Like, there's no reason other than the fact that they're maximising their potential. What Brendan Rodgers is doing right now at Leicester is getting these guys to perform above the level that they should be playing at. And that is the sign of a good manager or a good coach. A good coach gets players overperforming. That's what they do. And yeah, it's just mad. For me, like, it's not even necessarily who we sign in January, because I still think on paper we have a good enough squad to finish in the top 6. We do. It's just that Ollie's not maximising these guys. I don't think he has the ability to do that, and there's nothing on his CV or about what he's previously done that tells me he's got the ability to do that. So all signs point towards eventually us getting rid of Ollie, because he's simply not. He's not that guy, innit? Let me know what you think, and if you were to get rid of him before the January window, like, who would you bring in? At Mr. Max Son, are you not worried about Wan-Bissaka's creative output? You mentioned Shaw's lack of output, rightly so, but seem to not have the same standards for Aaron. He seems void of ideas other than doing the tango with the ball when he gets faced with a defender. All right, let me show you the distinct differences between Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. First of all, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has come from a team like Crystal Palace where defending is his primary role. It is. Crystal Palace their objective every season is to either finish mid-table or not get relegated, innit? Like, that's what their primary objective is. So because of that, he's adapting his game to being a Manchester United player. I do believe that in the next couple seasons, you will see Wan-Bissaka's attacking output increase. But he's learning now how to be an attacking fullback. He's never been an attacking fullback. His career, he's a right back. And he's the best defensive right back in the Premier League and probably one of the best in Europe. So I just think that I can't judge him like I'm going to judge Luke Shaw, who's been playing in the Premier League since he was 16 years old. And I think it's Luke Shaw's 5th season at Manchester United. So I can't judge them the same. Also, Luke Shaw's nowhere near as good defensively as Wan-Bissaka. So you can't give him a blight. My thing is, if you're like a mediocre defensive left back, you have to be an amazing left back going forward. Luke Shaw is neither. Luke Shaw is mediocre going both ways. And also, thirdly, if Wan-Bissaka had someone ahead of him that was creative, because right now we don't have a right-sided player. Like, Daniel James is out there sometimes, but other than that, if Pereira's out there, Wan-Bissaka tends to be like the only attacking threat on the right-hand side. You put someone ahead of him like a Riyad Mahrez or something like that who can create, and he just needs to worry about defending. No one will be talking about Wan-Bissaka's attacking numbers, because I can count I can count numerous occasions where Wan-Bissaka's put in very good crosses and Marcus Rashford's flopped and like missed open goals and stuff like that. Or he's flashed the ball across the box and there's been no one in there. But even without that, we don't have like a consistent attacking threat down the right-hand side. So if we had like equivalent to a Rashford, what he does on the left, on the right-hand side, no one would be expecting our fullbacks to really have to attack. They really wouldn't have to. So I think the balance of the team is showing now what Wan-Bissaka doesn't offer going forward as much, because there's no one ahead of him that's really doing bits. That's what I think. But honestly, I wouldn't worry about his attacking just yet. It's his first season. If a couple more seasons in, Wan-Bissaka's still not putting up the numbers like a modern fullback should be doing, then I think we can start to scrutinise him. But I think that he's adapting to a new style of football, a new mentality, and I'm happy to give him time because he's so good defensively. If he was starting to get ripped going the other way, that's when the question marks would be out. Good question though. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Last couple questions at Lotana_. It says, what do you say about Andy Tate's comments about people who call Ollie Wally? What's that Andy Tate? I don't know what Andy Tate is, blood. What I do know is, clearly, he knows who I am. So, that's all I got to say on that, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, bruv. Whatever Andy Tate is, bruv, I hope he's doing well in life. Do you know what I mean? And, yeah, I hope he continues to watch my content. Last but not least, at MUFC4L_. Now you've seen James on the right and Rash Bandicoot on the left. I love how that's sticking. Both playing well. If their performances become more consistent, do you think we will still need the likes of Sancho to help us become serious title contenders and gain power in Europe? Very good question. Answer is absolutely yes. What you guys need to realise, not all of you, but a lot of people, just because players are on form or playing well, that doesn't mean that they're good enough. Like, I don't know how old you guys are, but I grew up watching a Manchester United that had the strength and depth that a Manchester City have now. Like, it's not just about your starting 11, it's about your squad. Jadon Sancho is better than Marcus Rashford. Jadon Sancho is better than Daniel James. Daniel James is a good footballer, but Daniel James will never be anywhere near Jadon Sancho, bruv, in terms of quality. If you can get a Jadon Sancho when he plays, Daniel James is the kind of depth that Manchester United need coming off the bench, yeah, if things aren't going well. It's that simple. Stop thinking about, like, in the Premier League against Brighton. If Man United are where they're meant to be, you need to be thinking about, yo, if Man United draw Bayern Munich in the Champions League, do you honestly think that Rashford, James, Martial is enough? It's not, bruv. You need to be thinking about, yo, like Martial, Rashford, Sancho. You see what I'm trying to say? That's where you need to be thinking. You need to be thinking, yo, if it's not going right, man could bring on James for half an hour. Or if it's not going right, you bring on Scott McTominay. That's what you need to be thinking. It's just like the Maddison talk right now, yeah? Maddison would be great, Premier League edition and stuff like that. But I haven't seen Maddison at the top level for long enough for me to put my neck on the line and say, yo, like, this guy's a worldie. I don't know how much of it is down to the system he's playing at Leicester. The fact that he's not playing with any pressure at Leicester. There's loads of different reasons why he could be thriving at Leicester. I'm not saying he's not a good player, because he is. Do you know what I mean? But the pressure's different. The weight of the badge is different. Pressure to win every single game is different at a team like Manchester United. So every game's a must win. You're playing in front of nearly 80,000 people like every other week. The pressure's different. A lot of players they don't react to that. Like, even Sanchez going from Arsenal to Man United, yeah? At Arsenal, every game's not a must win, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same pressure as playing for Manchester United. Robin van Persie said it. So I just think that if we are playing Champions League semi-final against Bayern Munich, I'm not like, yo, like, man need Maddison. Like, no. Like, we need players a level above that. And I believe that Jadon Sancho is a level above Daniel James. So I don't think just because these men are on a good run of form, that don't mean that we need to take our eye off what the objective should be. And the objective should always be getting Manchester United back to where they belong, which is being a recognised Premier League and European elite club, not just by history and badge, but by the current squad of players. Getting back to a squad of players where teams around Europe are looking at our team and saying, yo, I want him, I want him. Because when we look at the top European teams in the world right now, Paul Pogba is the only player in our squad that probably gets into any of those teams. The only player. And that's not how Manchester United used to be, bruv. Because before we had the likes of Rios, the Vidics, the Keanes, the Scholeses, do you know what I mean? The Giggses, like, that were getting into most top European teams. Now we don't have that. So I think that needs to be the objective. So regardless of what happens, the likes of the Jadon Sanchos and that still need to be targets for us. I hope I answered that question as well as you liked. Make sure you leave your comments in the description for everything I've covered so far. Let me know your opinions on these things. As I said, we're sponsored by the OneFootball app now. Make sure you go and download that app, guys. Big up for the support on the channel. The channel keeps growing. Also, fresh drip as well. I've got a discount code for you lot in the description as well. It's Man Like Rants at the checkout, and I think, was it 10% off you get? I think it's 10 or 15% you get off. Like, I've had that for a while and I keep forgetting to plug that. Guys always asking me where I get my tracksuits from. So yeah, if you want to grab one of those as well, in the description to the video you'll be able to get all of those. The link to download the app, the discount for the clothes, and make sure you follow the socials at Rants and Bants on Twitter and Instagram for all your trolling needs. And I'll see you tomorrow 1:30 on the United Stand for the Flex and Rant show. Peace.